everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, April 3rd, 2022. We have got to get to the bottom of this Ashland Locke situation. I need to know, is he being framed or is he straight up lying to Victoria and planning something evil? You guys, let's make that our poll question for the week. YRChat.com. Is Ashland being framed or is he just straight up lying? Because if Ashland is not lying, if he is being framed, then I think we need to let Victoria be an adult and deal with it. But if Ashland is lying, then we have got to get her away from this psycho. Which is it? I just don't know. I can't wait to see these poll results. I need you guys to tell me what you think of Ashland at this point. Or maybe Victoria is going to be the one to blow the whole thing wide open, and I think that's exactly what her plan is. Victoria tells everyone in the Newman family that she is going to deal with her marriage and her husband herself. She is on the surface very much back together with Ashland. She was kissing him in public. She almost seems to be defending him a little bit to the Newman family, or she's at least not showing her entire hand to the rest of the family. All she said was that she is going to handle this herself and she's going to save the company. And then she books a trip to Tuscany with Ashland to, I suppose, enact whatever her plan is or just to find out more information. But Victor says, no way. If you are going to run off with Ashland and be traipsing around the Tuscan countryside, then I am going to be appointing Adam as the new CEO of Newman Locke. Remember Adam? Adam, who Victor thought was unfit to run Newman Media just a month ago. Yeah, that guy. Now I'm going to appoint him as the CEO of the whole damn company just to teach you, Victoria, a lesson. Meanwhile, Adam is standing there like, wait a minute. You're naming Adam as the CEO? You talking about Ansel Adams, Samuel Adams, Adam Sandler, or me, Pops? Which one is it? Me? Gee, do you mean it? Does this mean that you love me now, Daddy? I know that you only have love enough for one child. You only have love enough to put one child on the pedestal. So does that mean that I get to keep the current love that you have for me, plus I get to add all of the love that Victoria used to get too? How much love do I get out of this? And will it be enough? Adam asks in his mind. Oh, geez Louise. Victor scolds Adam and Victoria for not getting along. Well, here's the prime example of why they don't. Billy has his eye on the Victoria Ashland situation now that Victoria has opened up to him. And even though last week Billy said he was not going to give any I told you so's to Victoria, this week I think he was saving them all up to say I told you so to Victor. And I'm really glad that Billy had a chance to say that. I loved that scene where Billy and Victor were going at it over the situation and Nick actually physically had to come between them. Because Billy had a right to say what he said. You guys should have listened to me before she married this guy. I tried to tell you. I like that a lot. But I don't really like the idea that it almost seems that Billy is being set up to be the hero of the story, or that he's going to be the one to, I don't know, save Victoria. I don't really think that Billy needs to be in this story. I kind of feel like Billy's time in this story is over. I want Victoria to maybe instead have a friend to talk to about this rather than an ex-husband. I think Victoria needs a girlfriend now more than anything. Maybe it could be Sharon, or what if Victoria kicked up a surprise friendship with Imani? I think that would be really fun. Those seem like they would be two peas in a pod. Yeah, but Nick seems to think that Billy is the only one who is going to talk some sense into Victoria now, and I'm just not sure about that. I'm not sure why Victoria seems to trust Billy over Nick, because I think Nick has been trying really hard to be so available to Victoria. I think he's been trying to be very open and honest with Victoria, and sure, he's also still trying to dance around the family dynamic, and Nick's not exactly a neutral party, but Billy's not exactly a neutral party either. Thank God for Javier. Who said it? Thank God for Javier. Can we start a Y&R Chat fundraiser to send some flowers or maybe a really nice fruit basket down to the Good Samaritan guard who helped Michael escape from Peruvian jail? No doubt about it, that guy deserves our thanks. Oh, I loved Michael's telling of the story of his escape. And I especially loved it when Michael took his finger and curled the hair on his head around it while saying, "Well, I charmed my way out." That was just excellent, excellent, and it's so true. Michael is so charming and so smart, too. So, the story is that Ashland was the one behind having Michael arrested in Peru on some fake charges, and he was thrown in jail. But Michael was able to help a guard by giving him some legal advice. Oh yeah, that's right. Michael Baldwin knows all about Peruvian law, too. Thank goodness that came in handy. All of those days and nights he spent studying Peruvian law. And he was able to translate it from Spanish. So many of his skills just came together in handy. But he helped the guard with a legal issue, and so the guard, in return, helped him escape, gave him the name of someone down at the docks, and Michael was able to, I guess, stow away on a ship headed to San Diego! From Peru to San Diego on a cargo ship. That's how I picture it anyway. And it sounds like a horrible long trip with seasickness and blah. It sounds awful. And I can't believe that Michael didn't even want to go home first thing and take a shower. No, he texted Kevin. I don't know why you would bother texting when you could call. Can people just make a phone call these days? Does everything have to be a text? No, Michael sends a text message to Kevin to come and pick him up in San Diego. They had a little code between them to make sure it was him. Well, calling on the phone and giving him your voice might have been a better clue that it was him, but okay. Kevin goes to San Diego to pick up Michael, takes him straight to Crimson Lights as soon as they get back to Genoa City, where Lauren is ready to embrace her husband in her shimmering gold arms, looking like a piece of gold foil candy as she embraced him. Oh. Their reunion was so happy. There's so much chemistry there. There's so much love there. You can't put that together. It just exists organically, and it always has. I love Lauren and Michael. I love their love story, and I love how she was so protective of him. Michael was ready to rush right to Victor's office to see Victor and to tell him the story, and he had Lauren hot on his heels. She was not about to let him out of her sight ever again. And that's when Michael and Lauren and Victor all sat in Victor's office, and Michael told Victor the story about how everything happened and that Ashland Locke was surely behind it all. Which makes sense considering that we saw Ashland getting a text message about Michael's escape. So even if Ashland is being set up for faking his cancer, he still definitely had Michael detained. And I will never forgive him for that. That is still going to be a tarnish on his record, even if everything else about him is absolved. And I have a feeling that Michael is not going to let this go very easily. I mean, I'm kind of wondering if maybe we're seeing a little bit of a turn in Michael's character. I wonder if maybe he is going to flip back to the dark side for a few weeks, because I just got a sense from him that he is really serious and he is going to be pursuing this with everything he's got. Victor took Michael and Lauren out for a free dinner, and I loved that Michael took full advantage of the menu, and Lauren too. She made sure to order the best wine in the house. And after Victor left, Michael had a conversation with Lauren, because Lauren is not ready to let any of this go either. Lauren's not ready to let Victor off the hook. She does not want Michael to be putting himself into any more danger. If Ashland Locke is this dangerous, then she doesn't want her husband anywhere near him. The pain of having potentially lost him has been overwhelming for her. But Michael is really quick to tell Lauren that Victor is not the one behind this. It was Ashland who had him detained, and it is something that he feels very strongly about, that he wants to see Ashland Locke get what's coming to him. And I just have this feeling, just looking in his eyes and how angry and dark he looked for a moment, I have a feeling that Michael is going to make sure that Ashland Locke pays for what he did to him. Somebody didn't get the memo that everyone hates Ashland now. Abby! Abby is always the last to know. She is a Newman, but she is never a Newman, and she is never on the inside of their drama, and they are never on the inside of her drama. Victor has spent so little time involved in her baby drama that he doesn't even know how to pronounce the kid's name the same way as everyone else. And did you guys notice the little moment when Abby was sharing her baby pics with Ashland, just totally unaware that Ashland is persona non grata? And Ashland said, "Oh, what's your baby's name? Is it Dominique?" And she corrected him and said, "Dominic." And I was wondering, do you think that was a little bit of a winky wink to the fans about Victor's pronunciation of Dominic's name? Or am I just looking for Easter eggs in advance of Easter? You tell me. Oh. Well, we have got to talk about Chance's panic attack. I mean, whoa. That was something else, wasn't it? I am pretty impressed, honestly. I thought that was a really cool camera trick or effect. I don't know how they did it, but it really got to me. Chance was all happy, and he was playing with Dominic like a good father. And then all of a sudden, he started to hear this kind of hollow crashing sound in the background, and he started having a flashback. And the camera stayed really focused on his face, but then the background around him started to swirl, and then the camera itself kind of tilted and started vibrating and just moving closer and closer to Chance's sweaty brow, and it was just like closer and intense until the whole thing broke and kind of went back to normal. I am so interested to know how Y&R pulled that effect off, because again, I'm kind of wondering if there's any techies out there that might know. Was the camera on some kind of vibrating unit? I mean, that had to have been it, right? It felt like the camera was vibrating, or was it a completely digital effect? I don't know. They can do so many things with digital effects these days, but either way, I genuinely had a moment of feeling nauseated while I was watching it. It was so unnerving. I mean, I'm just sitting in bed and I can feel Chance's sweat and the whole thing is moving, and I started feeling sick. I'm not, no joke. It was like very, I think the fact that even just generally you're used to watching Y&R and it's so stationary, that the fact that the camera was moving, it just absolutely threw me for a loop. I am so sold on the effect. I thought that was just such a great scene, totally notable. What I'm not entirely sold on, though, is that out of the panic attack situation, Chance got the message that it would be a good idea for him to return to work right now. And in fact, he's telling us that his therapist has suggested it. His therapist thinks it's a good idea for him to go back to work, and maybe it is gonna be a good idea. I mean, he maybe needs something else to do besides sit around the Chance Manch with Dominic, but it just seemed a little jarring to go from Chance being happy with Dominic to panic attack right into, okay, time to go back to work, y'all. But I think that we're kind of dealing with the same principle that we were talking about last week with the Winters family business merger thing. It's not that it makes perfect sense. It's just that this moves Chance's character into position for more story. Chance can't stay home forever isolated at the Chance Manch with Abby and Dom. So I accept it. In fact, I'd like to see less of the Chance Manch right now, to be honest with you. I need a break from anything and everything baby related. So maybe Chance going back to work will be good for all of us. Hey, can you believe that Paul agreed to go along with it? Paul and Chance had an off-screen meeting, of course, where Paul gave Chance his job back, and then Paul put on a cape and he flew right out the window. He's Super Paul. Faster than a speeding bullet. You almost can't even see him. He's practically invisible. Oh, darn. It's hard to hear Paul's name mentioned and know that he's not with us, but, you know, I have to believe that Y&R still loves Paul and loves Doug Davidson on some level. I think it's very unfortunate what happened between them. I get the feeling that Y&R just didn't know what to do with his character, and that Doug Davidson just kind of got tired for waiting. He got tired of waiting for scripts. So I get the feeling that Y&R and Doug Davidson just agreed to a divorce, a silent divorce, that irreconcilable differences. They decided to go their separate ways. But I really bet that Doug still has a lot of fans on the set. I know that he has a lot of fans, in the fan base. So I have a feeling there's probably a lot of people on the set of Y&R that really like him and really appreciate him, and maybe on the writing team too. And maybe the fact that they still mention Paul at all is a nod to that. I don't know. One thing that I am really grateful for in terms of our veterans is that we are getting more of the Abbott sisters right now. Even if I forget to say it weekly, it is such a comfort to have all of this Tracy time. And this week we also got Ashley time too. Ashley is in town because she heard about Chemo's death. She heard about Allie, and Ashley doesn't trust the situation. She sees big trouble on the horizon, and she's right. But I gotta give big props to Abby here. Always the last to know, Abby. Here's another example. Didn't have any idea about what was going on with Uncle Jack and Chemo and Allie, but I still gotta give Abby some big props for having the nerve to tell Ashley, the nerve to tell her mother to cool it. Abby actually said she agrees with Phyllis. Ashley and Phyllis started going at it about what was the right approach for Jack to be taking here, and Abby came back and said, I think Jack is capable of making these decisions for himself, and maybe we should let him work it out on his own. Meanwhile, in LA, Jack gets the shock of his life. But let's back up a little bit first. Jack and Allie meet up in LA in this cute little outdoor bistro set. It's very similar to the one that's on The Bold and the Beautiful. I liked it a lot. It felt very airy, and it's so nice to get outdoors, especially now that it's spring. So I appreciated the breath of fresh air that was the bistro. And I really appreciated the meeting that Jack and Allie had. At first, it was really awkward, but it's understandable why it was awkward. Jack and Allie don't know each other. They don't know each other personally or what the family dynamics behind them are. They just really also don't know what the other one wants out of the relationship. So it's all awkward, all over the place. Allie revealed that she is studying chemical engineering. Ding, 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 ding. I wish I could remember which Y&R chatter predicted that Allie would end up being a chemist and maybe even working in the Chabot lab. Whoever predicted that a couple of weeks ago, you know who you are. You nailed it, and you are so right. And it feels so right, doesn't it? Because I do kind of remember that Chemo also worked in the Chabot lab, and so I'm sure that he is going to be using Allie's badge to sneak into Chabot and poison a few face creams in the near future. All part of the plan. But Allie insists that she doesn't know anything about Chabot. She had no idea who Jack was when she met him. She is not angling for a job. She does not want anything from him. And I really think that she's sincere. At this point, Allie does not come off as calculating, even in the least, to me. If anything more is going on, I think she's not aware of it. Because Allie just kind of comes off as lonely and maybe even a little desperate and grieving. She took a housewarming gift over to the lady who bought her father's house and thanked her for the little bit of family advice, which is really nice of her. It's really kind of her. And I think it speaks to the type of person that she is. But it also gave me the idea that Allie just has no one else to talk to about anything that she's going through. It almost seems like she doesn't have a single friend or a teacher or a coworker. If she's really trying to bond with the woman who bought her dad's house, it tells me that she just doesn't have anyone else. And I think that Allie was in for the shock of her life when Diane asked her to return the favor by being introduced to her dear old newly found granddad. So Allie is the one who invites Jack to Chemo's house, and out from the back walks Diane Jenkins to this kind of sexy music. She almost looked like she was trying to parade herself before Jack's very eyes. The look on Jack's face was so soapy. Peter Bergman was the greatest. He totally nailed Jack's shock face. I took 1,000,000 screen caps of it, all in high quality, so that it would have the largest file size possible. Take that, internet! So good! So good. So, how does Diane Jenkins explain her resurrection? Well, she faked her own death, of course. Of course. You see, way back in 2011, her life was on the skids. Everyone hated her, and so she said to herself, I could use a fresh start. I'll just fake my own death, slip away, and start again. Deacon Sharp can help me steal a dead body from the morgue. Then I can just pay off a couple of nobodies and bada bing, bada boom. That is so understandable. That is so relatable. I mean, who among us hasn't thought of doing that? Oh, everything's not going good. I'm just going to go ahead and fake my own death. Some of us are able to pull it off. Some of us don't. But I get it. And Diane's young son, left with no mom at all. He'll be fine. He'll figure it out. Jack will take care of him. Jack can raise him as a better man than I ever could. It just makes so much sense. Oh, that was such a great scene. Allie gives Taylor a piece of her mind and then rushes out, and then Jack practically spits fire at Diane. I mean, he had some anger for her. There was a little extra something coming from him, a little something extra vicious. He spits his fire and then he rushes out, and Diane is left all sad. Man, my plan really didn't work out. With that great shot of her just looking teary in the window as Jack ran off. Oh, I felt so bad for her. Oh. So she texts convince Jack to come back to the house, and we get the Friday flashback episode. Oh, those flashbacks really hit the spot because all of the memories came flooding back to me. I mean, there were 3 Dianes, but Susan Walters really played the role through most of the action, through most of the big-time Diane stuff. I don't remember Diane being a model at Jabot. Jack mentioned that, and I don't remember it. I remember her being an architect, so she was a model turned architect, I guess. What's your profession? Model turned architect. But I remember that she and Jack were hot and heavy, and that engagement scene where she pulled the ring out of the champagne and Jack said it just made the diamond look more sparkly. That was so cool. I loved that. But I remember them kind of being hot and heavy together, and then Victor hired Diane to do some architecting for Newman Enterprises, and little by little, Victor wooed Diane away from Jack. And I think that Victor didn't really even love Diane. I think he just wanted to take Diane away from Jack. That's my opinion of it anyway. That's my memory of it anyway. And it's so classic because it's in true Jack form that it seems like Jack loved her more than she loved him. It's a pattern. I do also remember the sperm switch story. It's just crazy, isn't it? How sperm switch stories were so totally normal, so run-of-the-mill back in those days. And thinking about it now, it's so weird. Like, for as much as we complain about things not making sense, I actually think that the level of absurdity on the show has probably decreased over time. It was way more absurd back in the day, I think. But, yeah. Diane tried to have herself inseminated with Victor's sperm. You know, like you do. One day, just wake up and decide to go ahead and do that. But it didn't work out for Diane the way she wanted it to. Diane ended up with Jack's sperm instead. Wah, wah. She wanted Victor and she got Jack. Wah, wah. Jack's 100 times better father anyway, probably. Although, I don't know, Chemo might not agree with that. We'll find out. But Nikki was the one who switched the sperm sample. I don't think she knew that it was Jack's. She just switched it. That was back in the day when Nikki and Victor were still doing their endless mating dance, and Nikki was not about to have Diane Jenkins getting pregnant with Victor's child when she was still working on a reunion with him. But unfortunately for Nikki, I think Ashley was the one who ended up getting her hands on Victor's sperm later, and that became Abby, and eventually Jack's sperm became Kyle, and it wasn't until some time later, after Jack was already married to Phyllis, that it was revealed that Kyle, of course, I think she named him Christian or something. There was a name change in there, but I think it was a little later down the road that it was revealed that Kyle was Jack's, and by that time he was married to Phyllis. And I do kind of vaguely remember Diane living in the pool house, driving Phyllis crazy, and there was this great plot twist where Diane burned down the pool house and framed Phyllis for it, tried to make it look like Phyllis had committed arson to kill her to get her out of the way. So I wish they would have shown that as a flashback, and maybe they will next week. But that should really give you some idea of how deep this rivalry goes and how fun it could really be in the future, especially since next week we know Phyllis is showing up in LA. Oh, this is fun. This is good. It's everything good. Is there any chance that we could get the pool house back? Is there any chance we could get Jack's bedroom back out of this? Did you see how cozy Jack looked in his bedroom, sitting on his 4-poster bed in his royal robe. I think he had kind of a leather couch off to the side, a brown leather couch off to the side with a fur blanket draped over it, and it looked like a high-quality fur blanket. Ultra classy, ultra classic. Oh gosh, this is so good. I mean, I feel like, okay, watching the flashback episodes from Friday also reminded me of 2 other things. Number 1, Susan Walters is beautiful. She is so beautiful, and she is as beautiful today in a totally different way, a totally more mature way. I just think she's gorgeous. Like, she is a fox. And number 2 thing that I realized watching the flashbacks is that Peter Bergman is such a leading man. I mean, who else? Who else? Get out of the way. Get out of Peter Bergman's way. Just get right out of the way. He is a leading man. And just watching the way that Jack moved and the way that he talked and the way that he approached the high drama of daytime that daytime used to be. I just think it was a thing of beauty to get to see. And today, Peter Bergman has just refined the form. I mean, today he's just more modern, more mellow version of what he used to be. And I think it's a very natural progression for the character. Oh, I would just love to see more of these flashback moments incorporated into the show. I mean, yes, okay, I'll admit it hits the nostalgia button for me, and it hits it in exactly the right years. But I also think that it's a unique opportunity to continue to highlight the talent of our cast going back for decades. I don't think that Noah is going to turn out to be the psycho that everyone has been predicting and maybe even hoping for. Noah just comes off to me now as a guy who's trying to get it together, looking for love in all the wrong places. I mean, I don't know who the girl was that had the bright idea to leave her hookup alone in her apartment and then goes to work in the morning, but she had some great taste in decor, and I really enjoyed seeing that scene. I just loved that set. I thought that was so pretty. I loved the pinky orange salmon, like ruffly bedding that she had, and there was this big floppy salmon hat on the bedpost, and she had a couple of cute cactuses and a terrarium and this awesome vintage rotary phone off to the bedside table. It was so cute, and I can tell you right now, that was not Cindy's apartment. The girl was not Cindy. Cindy does not have a taste for antiques, I can assure you of that. I met her once, and I can tell you she's not an antiques girl, but I am, and I love that set. But yeah. Waking up at a different spot every night. Yeah, I think what Noah is doing here is actually very common. I mean, I don't think Y&R's playing this for plot. I think they're playing it for the emotion. I think what Noah's going through is very common, very relatable in a lovelorn sort of way. I think that Noah is trying to cram anyone and anything that he can into the Tessa-shaped hole in his life, and it is not working. But he's also trying to be a good brother at the same time, and he's trying to be a participant in the Taraya wedding. He did some kind of designing for the girls that they really loved. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a wedding logo or something, but I get the impression that it came from a good place, and I think that maybe Noah thinks that if he participates enough, if he interacts with them enough, then it'll all just become part of his normal family interactions, and his own romantic feelings will eventually fade into the background. Sometimes a change feels like a solution, but often it's just a distraction. Oh, that was our Who Said It quote from last week, and the answer was Ray. I finally got a good Ray quote, and now he's leaving, but we'll talk about that later. Sometimes a change feels like a solution, but often it's just a distraction. That was a tough one. Only Daisy, Henry, Sam, Kathy, and Diana got it right. Ooh. I'll give you another one. Let me know if you know who said this. Always think 5 steps ahead. I think that's a pretty good piece of advice. Always think 5 steps ahead. Who said it? If you think you know, go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. And now on to our big casting disappointment news. From Soaps in Depth. After 4 years in Genoa City, Daytime Emmy winner Jordi Villasuso is exiting the role of the Young and the Restless's Ray. Aww. The actor announced the news on Instagram after teasing on the page for his podcast, Making It Work, which the Y&R star hosts with his wife, Caitlin, that there was some big news they'd be sharing on the new episode. Oh, so Y&R finally did it. Y&R finally did it. It's one of those things that it's like, oh, it's sad, but it's no surprise. Yet here we are with a quote saying, maybe I should have seen the writing on the wall. The scripts that I was given were very minimal. Yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah, maybe you should have seen the writing on the wall. Oh, it's so sad. It's such a bummer. So here's another quote. I had re-signed. This came as a shock. This came as a shock to Jordi. Quote, I had re-signed back in October for another 3 years. But in these contracts, there are 6-month intervals where the show can decide not to re-sign you for the next 6 months. So that's what happened. Oh, okay. Well, so that is very interesting about those contracts. So every time they get you hear about them getting a 3-year contract, and then you think, oh, we're going to have them for 3 years. Well, apparently every 6 months it's up for a renewal. Well, then it's not really a 3-year contract now, is it? It's a 6-month contract. What's with the subterfuge there? But so yeah, I guess maybe he felt like it was safe, and maybe he's not safe. And Gary says, Ray is happy in his marriage with little time to run off with Chelsea, so this is surprising news. A casting loss and sadness, but we are used to Y&R's curious choices, as with letting the popular with so many people Theo Vanderway go. Go figure. And I will never watch this show again. No, I will. You're right. Y&R let go of Ray. I will never watch it again. No, I will. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, Anne Breen says, Ray is such a meh character because of the way he's been written. Jordi is a great actor, but we didn't get a chance to really see that. The only time I can really think of was when his marriage with Mia fell apart, and most recently when he and Chance argued, where we really got to see Jordi flex his acting muscles. I wish they could have done more. I'd rather see Ray with more material than Devon, Dominic, Phyllis. When fans are indifferent to a character instead of loving, hating them, that's a bad sign. Oh, that's a good idea there, Ambreen. When fans are indifferent to a character instead of loving, hating them, that's a bad sign. Yeah, that's true. And again, I mean, I think it seems almost universally people kind of feel that way, that there's just, that we can tell Jordi's got the chops. We can tell if he had the chance that he could be a big part on the show again, and yet Y&R clearly minimized him. I mean, for me, honestly, I think probably the big sign was when Y&R just decided to cut the rest of his family. I mean, it really looked like they were building the Rosales family, who I liked. I would be happy if Mia and Ray and Arturo and Lola were still on the show. I really liked the Rosales family, and the second that Y&R cut the, Mia and Arturo, and you could kind of see that the writing was on the wall there, and I kind of feel like Sasha Calais probably saw that the writing was on the wall, and that's when she probably got out and did some extra auditioning and ended up jumping ship before they could jump on her, but maybe that's not the case with Ray, or with Jordy. The question is... how are they going to get rid of him? What are they going to do? And I will tell you what I think's going to happen. I think they're going to kill him. I think we got Chance now coming back onto the force. We're probably going to start to see some kind of little mission that Ray and Chance are going to go on. And then whatever the next sweep season is, I think it's probably May, they're going to kill him. They can't have him leave Sharon for Chelsea. They can't have Sharon leave him for Nick. So I have a feeling they're going to kill him. And then Sharon is going to be grieving, and Nick is probably going to come comfort her, and I have no idea what that means for Chelsea. It's honestly not good news for Chelsea either. I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to drop her. I mean, what's she really got going on other than the fashion business and her friendship with Chloe? She doesn't fully fit in to the dynamic of what's going on with Adam and Sally. I don't think that triangle was really working, and I think Y&R knows it wasn't really working, which is why they pulled her out and started developing this thing between Chelsea and Ray. And I don't know if it was that Chelsea and Ray seemed like a perfect match, but it seemed like a good use for both of the two characters. And maybe Y&R just decided, well, that's not enough. I mean, ultimately, I have said in the past, I think the cast is too big right now. And Ray wouldn't be my first choice of who to cut, but it doesn't fully surprise me that we got a cut, and it wouldn't fully surprise me if there were more cuts down the road. Oh, speaking of cutting, Diana says, hey, Allie, did you receive the Y&R cookbook? I was curious what you thought about it and if you liked any of the recipes in the book. I know you like to cook and bake. I'd love to hear what recipe you would recommend or find interesting. Diana, this is such a sad story. Well, it's sad to me anyway. So I ordered that Y&R cookbook off of eBay, and I was all excited about it. And when it got here, it was damaged, and not damaged in transit. It was like wet, and the pages didn't even fully pull apart in some places. And the eBay description said it was good, and I don't consider it good if I can't fully open all of the pages. So it was really sad, and I sent it back and got a refund for my $10, but it kind of burst my bubble a little bit on the cookbook. I don't know if you guys have ever had that happen where you order something and it's just not right, and then it's hard to get your passion back for it. So I didn't reorder it, Diana, and I need to go to eBay and try to find another version. But then there's this part in the back of my head that's thinking, am I just gonna end up getting the same one? Oh, yeah, but I need that as a collectible, and yeah, I want to try some of the recipes too. So, okay, I got to put that back on my task list, but thank you for noticing that and following up on it, and maybe you could tell us some of your favorite recipes from it. I got to get on it. Wouldn't it be cool if I could get the book and then do a recipe and a review of it? Yeah, you're so right. There's a million so great ideas that you guys have. Thank you. Sorry, that's a disappointing answer, but I was disappointed too. Well, let's look at our poll from last week. I asked you guys what you thought about Diane Jenkins coming back from the dead. Was it a hallelujah, back to hell with her, or do you just not remember her? Well, the majority of Y&R chatters say, hallelujah, Diane Jenkins is back. 21% of you said, to hell with her, and 14 don't remember. I mean, I think that's interesting too, because for the 14% who don't remember Diane or don't, wouldn't remember her or don't know her, I wonder if the flashbacks influenced your, if you could have voted yes or no on Diana, or what if the flashbacks increased maybe your probability of voting yes, because I thought that really helped to fill in some context around her relationship with Jack, and also what the triangle was between Jack and Phyllis and Diane. But yeah, I voted hallelujah. Tony also voted hallelujah, saying, as the paper nerd that Allie tagged me, I'm always looking for the logic in everything. It makes sense sense that the writers want to give the fans what they want, and they have decided that bringing back the familiar is what we want. This is true. An example is trying to reconnect past couples. The logic of Y&R bringing back known characters, such as Chemo and Diane, is because it's most likely what the fans want. Also, bringing back an established character probably costs less than establishing a new character. Oh, that's interesting. I never would have thought about that, Tony, that there's establishing and things that they don't have to do with a recurring character. That's really a good idea. But I love your point that, yes, Y&R must understand that their fans are older. I mean, a lot of us have watched the show for decades, and so why not give them what they want, which is that little bit of nostalgia, the characters that they know, the characters that they're familiar with. I mean, bringing back an old character isn't going to turn off a newer viewer. If anything, it would give a newer viewer a chance to go and do more research, more digging, and to find new reasons to love the show more. So, yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think it's a total bonus any way you slice it. Oh, Jamie says, a riled up, angry, powerful Jack is sexy. Yeah, I know. And Leslie responds, it's way sexier than puppy dog desperate Jack. Oh, this is such a good point, because I do think all we've gotten in the past several years is puppy dog desperate Jack. And yeah, I agree. Seeing him viciously angry with Diane, riled up, angry, powerful, was very sexy, very appealing. Diana also says, I enjoyed Jack's interaction with Diane this week when he first met her for the first time since her death. Peter Bergman is a great actor, as he was filled with so many emotions. You could feel Jack's anger and pain and resentment for Diane. I'm sure it was not easy to bring out those feelings after all of these years. But having said that, I was a little surprised that there wasn't more of a climax build up toward Jack seeing Diane for the first time in many years. Yeah, that's true. It did feel a little quick, didn't it? I like that point. Because Y&R totally could have stretched that out for a couple more days. The reveal happened rather quickly. I mean, I'm not complaining, I guess, but I think they could have gotten another couple days out of it. Oh, who knows? Maybe something was cut for all we know. Oh, Victoria has a couple of good comments here saying, I loved the flashbacks today, which helped explain Jack's complicated relationship with Diane. The flashbacks also highlighted the animosity Phyllis has toward Diane. Can't wait for next week when the red tornado rolls into LA. Phyllis will be building a wall around Kyle and Summer to fend off this newest threat. Beware, Diane. Phyllis has learned a few more tricks. Oh, that's a good comment. I like that. And yeah, she is going to be circling the wagons. Diane had requested that she wants to now see her son. And I think that's going to give Michael Mealor some real meat to sink his teeth into, coming face to face with the mother he thought was dead. And the resentment that she would do this, that she would leave him. Oh, there's going to be no explaining her way out of that. Diane is going to be just as hated today as she was the day she died. But yeah, I think this really sets up a very nice rivalry, and it'll be interesting to see when Kyle comes back. And will he come back with Summer? That's another good question. Well, Victoria also says Diane may have inadvertently brought Jack and Allie closer together. I was glad to see them take solace in each other at the same cafe. Jack and Allie now have a common shared experience to build a relationship. I expect to see Allie in Genoa City fairly soon. I agree. Yes. This is one of those strange details. Allie's iced tea was half gone, and the lemon wedge was still on her glass, and there was no straw in sight. That leaves me curious about how did she drink the tea? I'd have lemon juice all over my face. I love that little detail. So Allie's tea, half gone, lemon wedge still on the rim of the glass, no straw. How did she drink the tea? That's a good question. The other thing, I just have to put this here. I have to say this here because it's kind of funny. The reason probably that the bistro set on Y&R reminds me of the bistro sets on Bold and the Beautiful is there's something about all of these outdoor sets where they always have a carafe of what I call fruit water. If you look, there's always some kind of dispenser of what looks like water, but it is crammed with fruit. I call it fruit water. And it's really probably, I mean, I don't know, does anybody drink fruit water? Or is it, it's such a great visual. It looks so fresh. Oh, fresh water with fresh fruit slices down in there. Doesn't that look great? It's usually a lemon or a lime. But instead of putting the lemon or the lime on that glass, they just toss it right down into the water, and there's your fruit water. There's your fruit water. There's the recipe. Water plus fruit equals fruit water. One last comment on the situation from Victoria. Glad Ashley's back from Paris. I understand her concern for Jack, but why can't the viewers see Ashley's response to Dominic's illness? Also, they haven't touched the fact that Devon is a 100% match, even though the parents are usually a 50% match. The writers are leaving us hanging. Oh, well, I'm okay with that, but I know not everybody is. I don't mind if we don't talk about it anymore and we just move on. And I almost kind of think that the 50%, 100% thing might have been Y&R just trying to plant a seed for later. They might not have ever planned on following through with it now. They might have just planted that seed so that they can work with it later. Ooh, couple more thoughts about sets. Diana says we got 2 new sets this week. Noah's bedroom and the restaurant in LA. I hope Y&R continues to do this more often. It's always much more realistic when we see different sets as well as visually pleasing to see them on the show. Yeah, I really think that was the girls' bedroom though, because it was pinkish, and I don't think Noah would have had like floppy hat on the bedpost. So I kind of think that was the girl's bedroom that he was waking up in. But I asked myself that question too, Diana. I was like, is this Noah's bedroom? Is this somebody else? I get the impression it was the girl. And we saw him waking up in a hotel, in the Grand Phoenix Hotel another time too. So this actually was nice. It was another wake up, but they didn't just take us back to the Grand Phoenix. They gave us a whole new set, and it was a great set. Also, I agree. Love the bistro. The other thing that I don't want to forget to say is Chemo's house. I mean, I get the impression that was a real house. I could be completely wrong, but to me that looked like an actual home. The fireplace, the mantle on it looked real. It looked real. I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be on a soundstage, but I think if they did film the chemo house scenes in some empty, real estate, then I think that's a great idea. And I think that's something that they should do more of in the future. I mean, there's probably tons of empty warehouses, houses here and there. No reason they couldn't rent that for the day and go do some filming. I mean, a lot of the houses and places are probably still even furnished. So, I mean, it may be difficult to bring lighting crews and all that, but I think that would be a way to get some variety of sets without having to build new sets. It would still be cheaper to go and film on a location than to build a brand new set, especially if you're only going to use it a couple of times. So maybe there's going to be more of this down the road. I really liked it. Oh, let's get on to Ashland. Diana also says, I'm confused with now how the twist of Ashland Locke being framed by Jesse Gaines or someone else. We know that Ashland was the one who was responsible for having Michael, the American, held captive. We know this is true because we haven't seen or heard Ashland talking and texting to someone because we have seen Ashland talking and texting to someone in Peru about Michael. If Ashland is a good guy and is being framed, then I don't understand why he didn't want Michael snooping around. The only explanation I can think of is that Ashland actually needed to detain Michael in order to help clear Ashland's name and prove his innocence. Oh, that's a great point, Diana. I mean, no matter what, we know Ashland had Michael detained. So even if he is being framed, then why would he do that? But you also offer a pretty good explanation here that maybe he was just trying to buy himself some time. Gary says, I actually thought of this myself, arriving at the belief that it doesn't make sense that Ashland is being framed, because Ashland looks so guilty but keeps going around claiming that he's been set up. You want to think if he wasn't, he would never have the guts to continue this ridiculous charade. Being a soap, you look for the twist, but for any of us paying attention, we know that Y&R in recent years has completely abandoned the concept of the twist to straightforwardly play out only what we actually are presented with as the reality on the screen. Yeah, that is a great point, that Y&R in recent years has not leaned as heavily on the twist. That they really, it's a what you see is what you get. Maybe that's the case with Ashland, maybe not. Victoria says Ashland was making a very passionate plea to Victoria to believe in him, and I heard blah, 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 blah. He continues to use the same lines to convince her. If he is innocent, he needs to bring her the evidence. Yes, that is true. If Ashland is innocent, then he needs to bring her and us some evidence. Sue W. says, yay, it seems Victoria has pulled herself together and intends to handle her Ashland situation. So she has a plan now to play on Ashland's love to, I don't know, something. I think Victoria was obvious with Nikki, Victor, and Nick this week that she sees the light, has a plan, and is no longer pledging blind allegiance to Ashland. But her family seemed oblivious. I love how she matched Victor's bellowing tit for tat, and I hope Victoria reigns supreme in the end. Whatever that is, go Victoria, except I'm kind of rooting for Adam and Sally too. Yeah, it did seem a little obvious that Victoria knows what she's doing, that she had a plan, and yet Victor turned the tables on her. He wasn't having it. Ellen says, what do we think about these moves? Is Victoria really planning to go to Tuscany with Ashland when she knows he may want to eliminate her and take over sole ownership of Newman Locke? Is she planning to push him out of the Newman jet? And can Adam behave himself as temporary CEO? Can Billy stay out of the situation and accept that he's not needed or welcomed? Answer equals no. That almost sounds like, do you remember Soap, the TV show Soap, when at the very end of the episodes they say, will so-and-so do this, or will whatever happen, find out next time on Soap. That kind of, that reminds me of that. That's kind of funny. But yeah, it is a question. What exactly was Victoria planning before Victor came along? And in the meantime, we've got Adam as the temporary CEO. What bothers me for Adam is that the second Victoria exonerates Ashland, exonerates herself, I don't know what, I have a feeling that Victor's just going to pop her right back into the chair. It's like Adam's being given a temporary bone, but what worries me is that it's not going to be permanent and he's just going to have his heart ripped out all over again. Well, Leslie says, I love Billy so much. I had to rewatch his episode with Victoria again. I'm just eating up all of his expressions and compassion. Yeah, I think Victoria opening up to Billy was very good. And Sue W. says, I love Billy so much too. And unpopular opinion, especially with Victoria. I've always thought the two actors play exceptionally well off of one another. They've created a very believable broken couple that loved desperately, yet couldn't stop bringing out the worst in one another. Many fans call it poor chemistry, but I saw and see just the opposite. Amelia H. and Jason T. together have never wavered from that raw but nuanced portrayal of miserably caring for the other. I can hear the haters already. Nonetheless, I'd like to see Billy and Victoria once again draw closer in this Ashland debacle and lead to Well, something, I don't know what. I do like the emotion-laden push-pull dynamic they've always shared and find it way more interesting than upbeat Billy's sex with Lily or perennially exhausted Victoria's power-mongering. I think they actually need each other despite themselves. Oh, Sue W. That's so great. Hey, there's no such thing as an unpopular opinion here. You got to keep bringing it because I can be turned around. It's not that hard to convince me. So keep giving me the reasons to love Billy and Victoria together. I can be open to it. I'll try to set my mind to be a little more open to it, too. No haters here at Y&R Chat. And also, Gary said this pretty much last week. While I don't need the on-camera Jason Thompson airtime, I completely agree with Sue W. As stated previously, those two dark clouds are made for each other, and this is a great, beautifully thought-out assessment on the dynamics of who actually belongs with whom. The audience will groan, but some things are meant to be. The thing that turned me off forever on this couple is the way that there was nothing tangible in their last breakup. Billy went into a dark hole, nebulous mind trip over being generally unsatisfied with his life in general, where everything sprang from that. Had he cheated on Victoria with Amanda Sinclair, that would have been something tangible to grab hold of, but the psychotic mind games of Billy are completely scary. It's really important to run away from someone forever who is not solid. Oh, good. Another chance for Billy should not be in Victoria's playbook, but these two are destined to rain on each other, so what are you going to do? I want to say nobody else wants them, but that has proven to not be true. Yeah, we've got 3 pro Billy and Victoria comments here right in the row, and I wanted to make sure to feature that. But yeah, this is a good... I kind of agree with you here, Gary, in that Billy and Victoria's last breakup is what really broke it for me, because he just went real creepy and real dark, and he was sort of having this emotional affair with Amanda, and it turned me off of Billy and Victoria. It probably should have just turned me off of Billy, but I don't know. I think that is kind of what broke the Billy and Victoria thing for me. But I gotta say, the more you guys are kind of convincing me here that it is an interesting dynamic, that these are two people that kind of love each other in spite of whether or not it's healthy for them. Of course, I also agree with Gary. You should run away from that. You should run far, far away from that. But yeah, great points. Keep them coming. Well, let's talk about Abby. Daisy says Abby is going to be so mad when she finds out she's out of the loop. It will be fun, though, for her to burst into Victoria's office to find out what's going on, and there sits Adam. Great, Daisy. That's great. Yeah, she's going to say, what's this about Ashland Locke? She missed Victoria at the at Society when she was talking with Ashland, but she might find out all about it and go to Victoria's office to try to get more information, and there sits Adam. Oh, that's so good. Daisy also says, I would really love to see Sally have her own fashion line at Newman. Her being COO is so one-dimensional for this character. I would rather see her with her own fashion line in some type of fight for the top with Lauren's team, including Chelsea and Chloe, than being Adam's lapdog. She's nothing more than that. She has no hopes or dreams of her own, just someone who listens to Adam and makes him feel secure. I hope that changes as this character is becoming boring, and I think there is much more they can build on her with fashion. Oh, that's so good, Daisy, because it's like, for all of the goodness that has come from Adam and Sally, and also I think they've done a lot with Sally's character more recently. You're right, this is a big gaping hole for her. She's mostly just support for Adam. We're gonna need to see Sally's hopes and dreams, and maybe her story is more fashion related, and maybe it's a way they can connect Chelsea and Chloe back in, and I would like to see Sally, Chelsea, Chloe battling it out. I mean, those are they're girls of a similar age, and I like to see that ambition, and I like the fashion element, so I hope that's where they're going. Let's be hopeful. Sally needs to be more than just Adam's COO, right? Even though I like that dynamic, we need more. Oh, hey, speaking of fashion, Lori says whoever is in charge of color coordination on the Y&R set should get an Emmy. I'm referring to the family powwow in Victor/Adam's office. Nikki set the stage in her gorgeous sequin plum blouse. Nick stood near her in his dusky plum sweater with, oh my, did you notice, lavender/plum elbow patches? And both were coordinated with the plummy couch and sofa. Not to be outdone, Victor brought it all together with his severe black suit to join together Nikki and Nick's black slacks. Beyond Mitchy Matchy, this was brilliant. I'm so glad you noticed this, Lori, because, yeah, the scenes are being styled so well. I felt very similarly to that big dramatic family portrait scene we had last week with the Newmans in Victoria, now Adams' office. Yes, and even the scenes I've noticed in Chemo's house look very much like Diane was wearing something that sort of looked like it went with what Allie was wearing. Yes, it does look like each scene is really being styled as a cohesive unit, and I did notice Nick's sweater. Nick looked really good this past week. And yeah, I mean, Nikki's I don't know what that blouse was, but plummy and shimmery. And just a side note, so I don't forget to say it, I loved what Abby was wearing this week. Did you guys see that pink ruffly, I'm gonna get this wrong, but it almost seems like it had a ruched elastic waist and some elastic parts around the wrist, and then it had a ruffle sleeve. It was so 80s, but maybe peasant girl-ish or something, but it was a dress, and it just had so much movement. It was very fluttery and flowy, and it was just in this light pink color, and I just thought Abby looked so beautiful this week. And then there was Lauren. Henry says, who put sweet Lauren in a peach disco ball? Sigh, I just love her in anything, really. The internet probably exploded over Lauren's blouse. I thought it looked smashing when they put the cape over it. It was a little less gold disco ball. Maybe she got fashion advice from Golden Glow. Maybe we need to go grab the Golden Glow glasses, put Lauren in a turban, and then bada boom! Look complete. The look is complete. Oh, Daisy says, I'm not crying, you're crying. Who knew the Lauren and Michael reunion would be a tearjerker, but it was. And I thought Lauren giving Victor little digs was funny. She didn't care, and he didn't seem to mind. I hope they have some gathering to celebrate Michael, though. Outdoors, maybe. It might be fun. They can invite their family. Gloria, of course. The Abbotts, including the newly found Allie and Kyle with his family. And also the Newmans. And I'm sure there would be some who would just show up, like Diane comes to mind. Ooh, Daisy, please let this happen. This is so great. Yeah, because Michael said, when I was in prison, there were 3 things I was thinking about. You, Lauren, getting back together with my family, and getting revenge on Ashland Locke. So we have maybe 2 of those in the works. We need to having a gathering with the Baldwin family, Kevin, Chloe, Gloria, Michael, but you also make a good argument here that we could have somebody crash it, like Diane. Oh, that'd be so good. Oh, please let Y&R have a party in the works. Yes! Well, Ellen says, I like Michael's leftover cat on a hot tin roof look and his jaunty attitude. He looks like he's been locked up somewhere. It's good to have him more central to a storyline. He will be off Broadway for rehearsals and his summer run before too long, so I'm just going to appreciate him. I still can't figure out how far ahead Y&R tapes. I've seen the reports that they have as much as 2 months in the can these days. Not sure if that's accurate. Maybe the pandemic has made them put more episodes in the vault just in case. Oh, that may be. Maybe they are trying to film way more ahead. That's a good point. But yeah, I know he had noticeably longer hair. I liked it when it was dry and longer, but then he slicked it back for the dinner meeting with Victor, and the slicked back long hair is a little, I don't know, that didn't appeal to me as much, but I mean, Michael always looked good, and I loved it when he did his little curl with his hair. Yeah, Michael has some famous hair, doesn't he? Oh, Tina Nicole says, there is something about the relationship between Michael and Victor that I love. I think the actors are just so comfortable and have a friendship that seeps into their scenes together. It's just subtle moments, such as how Victor will show a playful smile toward him. Yeah. You know what I think it is between Victor and Michael? I think they're intellectual equals. I think that Victor is, at the top of his game in his business and what he does, and I think Michael's at the top of his game in his business and what he does, and so therefore there is a respect between them and a camaraderie between them, and I think that it's a friendship. It's really big. It's nice to see the friendship. I think that's a great point. But I'm going to end on this great point from Sherrod. It's more of a theory or a prediction, and we'll buckle up. Ready? Sherrod says, is this the real Michael Baldwin? Or did Victor do a switcheroo like he did with Jack and Marco? I know Ashland got a text that said Baldwin got away, but Michael's story about escaping from Peru sounds about as credible as Jesse Gaines escaping from the Tuscany villa. Sherrod, week after week, you are blowing my mind with these great twist theories. Can you believe that? There was that moment. I don't know if you guys saw it or picked up on it, but I saw a darkness in Michael, and I thought, ooh, this almost kind of seems like it could be a twist for his character. But what if what we're gonna get is a twist on the plot? What if this is not Michael at all, but an evil twin? Oh, that is just too good to be true. Sometimes I think, our fan theories are almost just too good to be true. That is indeed a good one. Oh, you guys are great. Thank you so much for all of your thoughtful and awesome comments. Go to yrchat.com and leave some more. No such thing as a negative or an unpopular opinion. You should definitely give your opinion and make it popular. If you think your opinion is unpopular, I think you should make it popular. Give it a good go. Come up with a good argument for why you think what you think. And I'm always looking for those kind of comments. I look for that specifically. When I look at comments and I think, oh, this fills in an area that I didn't talk about or think about. And I also try to look for things that are opposite from what my natural reactions to the show are, so that I can bring things together in a little bit more of a cohesive way, a more well-rounded way. Ooh. Well, after all that, I feel like I'm going to need a nap, but I've got a little family party to go to. Speaking of cooking, Diana knows I love to cook. I didn't have a cookbook, but I did make up some pizza dough balls. I make pizza a lot, so I decided to just take my pizza dough and roll them up into balls, and then I did just a very simple mixture of salted butter and fresh chopped, I guess, garlic, whatever comes in the little jar. So salted butter and garlic, melted it all together, and then I brushed all of the pizza dough balls with the garlic butter, and I baked them and pulled them out, brushed the other side so they're getting good and butter garlicky, and then pulled them out, and I'm gonna let them dry, and then I'm gonna take those with me to the party. I think bread is a good thing to bring to Michael Baldwin's welcome home party when I go. Fresh bread is so good, and nobody really brings it ever. So it's kind of like, oh, hey, who brought the fresh bread? Well, it was Allie. I can't believe Diane Jenkins would have the nerve to show up here. Here, have a pizza dough ball. If only. I'll just pretend that's how it goes in my mind. Oh man, why I'm going to go to my family thing when I would rather go to Michael Baldwin's family thing. Now it's just going to be a disappointment. Pretty sure Diane Jenkins is not going to walk through the door at this one. All right, well, I better get going. You make sure to go to yrchat.com, leave your comments, and see all the stuff that's there, and come back next week to see me. I love you guys. Have a good week. Bye.